Okay, so let's take a look at another problem. Okay, so let's take a look at our second problem. It says Alvin has 80 boxes of cookies. Christina has 45 boxes of cookies. How many more boxes of cookies does Alvin have? So, the first step to solving this problem is to identify the type of problem it is. So, let's think back to the four types of problems. So, would this problem be a joining problem? Are we joining things together? Is this problem a separating problem? A separate problem? Are we separating items? Would this problem be a part whole problem? Are we using parts, bringing them together to find the whole? Or are we comparing? Is this a comparing problem? Are we comparing two numbers of items within the word problem? So if you said compare, then you're absolutely right. This problem is a comparison problem. So to solve this problem, the first thing we need to do is look at find our larger quantity. So as you can see here on this strip diagram, we have it labeled. So the longest part of the strip diagram is the larger quantity, and the smaller part of the strip diagram here is the smaller quantity. And as you can see on here, we have no clue what that is as of right now. So we have a question mark there. This question mark is representing the difference in the problem, because this problem is finding it wants you to find the difference. And when you're finding the difference, you are subtracting. You're not trying to find the sum. If you're trying to find the sum, then you're adding, so it would be an addition problem. But we're finding the difference in this problem, so it is a subtraction problem. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing we need to do is label our strip diagram. So if you look back into the word problem and find the larger quantity, the larger quantity is the 80 boxes of cookies that Alvin has. So let's add that. Let's add that label there. Okay, so 80 is our larger quantity. And our smaller quantity. What is our smaller quantity? Let's look back in our word problem, and we see that our smaller quantity is the amount of cookies that Christina has, and the cookie boxes that Christina has, and that's 45. So let's add that to our smaller quantity. Okay, so the next step would be the strategy to solve this problem. Now, we've already decided that the strategy needed to solve this problem is using the strip diagram to subtract the larger quantity and the smaller quantity. So this is our formula here. The larger quantity equals the smaller quantity plus the difference. So now we need to write out our equation. So our larger quantity is 80. So 80 equals 45 plus the difference. And we're using a question mark to represent the difference because we don't know what the difference is. Now, if you look at this problem, I know you probably think that the equation that we just set up, it looks strange. And that's because we have the equal sign in the beginning of the problem. And you normally see the equal sign at the end of your equations. But in this problem, the way we have it set up, we have the equal sign in the beginning. So what we need to do is rewrite this problem, but this time we rearrange the numbers so that the equal sign is on the right side instead of the left side. And the only way to do that is if we move this part of the equation to the beginning of the equation. So let's do that. So 45 plus the difference equals 80. Okay, now it's starting to look like something you recognize. So now what do we need to do to solve this problem? As you can see, we still don't know the difference here. So therefore, we can't add 45 plus question mark to get 80. So the only way that we can figure out what this number is here is to go back to our strip diagram. And if you can see here, this is our whole. And our whole is 80. And then part of that 80 is 45. So what we can do to find this missing quantity is subtract. So let's set up a subtraction problem. So 80 minus 45 okay, so 0 minus 5, can we do that? No, we can't do that, so we're gonna have to borrow from the 8. So when we borrow, we put a little line through the 8 and we regroup by taking a 10 away from the 8 and giving it to the 0, which makes it now a 10. And this, since we took a 10's away from the 8, it makes it a 7. So now it is 10 minus 5, which is 5, and 7 minus 4, which is 3. So the difference is 35. Now let's go back to our word problem. It says, how many more boxes of cookies does Alvin have? So Alvin has 35 more boxes of cookies than Christina does. And that's how you solve this type of comparison problem.